Hey guys, some stupid sketch show guy here with another video, and at this current time, it's 2:25 a.m. in the morning. Why am I not going to sleep? Well, because I've been trying to record this intro for like 20 minutes now. And also, because I'm in a vibey mood. And when I'm in a vibey mood, I feel like talking about Papo. Ever since their 2022 line of dinosaur figures was released, I've been thinking to myself, what happened? When I first joined this community back in 2018, Papo was considered some of the best places to get great dinosaur figures. This was the talk of the town. People loved Papo. They respected them as a great company with great detail and articulated jaws. However, as their 2022 line prepares to release next year, all Papo is a joke. It's a meme. It's a cult. It's not anything serious. So, I began to wonder, why did this happen? While I can't say why, I can at least document where it started to happen. I can take you through where Papo began, how Papo found its groove, its edge, its niche, and grew in popularity, and then when it started to tail off into today. And so, I introduce you to the rise and fall of Papo. So sit back, relax, and let's talk. To know where Papo's quality began, we have to first start with their very first figures. And you might think this is where I start talking about their 2005 Tyrannosaurus Rex. But you would be wrong, as this isn't the first time that Papo released prehistoric material. 7 years earlier, they released two figures in conjunction to the French comic series Rayhan, a comic series about an intelligent caveman. They released one figure for Rayhan and one for a Smilodon named Gorak. But besides these releases, they didn't release much. And Papo remained relatively unproductive for the next couple of years, finally starting to really pick up speed with their figure quantity in 2004, and finally getting their first big hit dinosaur figures in, you guessed it, 2005, which included this guy, a Triceratops, a Parasaurolophus, and a Velociraptor, which were all based off Jurassic Park, helping them garner near instant popularity with their great detail and, of course, their inspirations from popular media, which became Papo's first niche as a dinosaur company. And this niche would serve them well, with their popularity continuing to rise, reaching its crescendo with their Papo 2012 Running T-Rex, which is so popular that even if you are not a dinosaur collector, you know what this figure is. It has been used so many times in bootleg toys, and most surprisingly of all, movie posters, that basically anyone can recognize this stock picture. That is how popular Papo's figures became. With this kind of popularity, it seemed like Papo had everything figured out. They had a simple tried and true formula, and they were pumping out great figures year after year. It seemed like they could do no wrong. And then they did. The first time I noticed a slight dip in quality when it came to Papo figures was around when I first joined this community and the new Papo reveals were getting hyped up, their 2019 line. And it was alright, however, some people thought that the repaint quantity was a bit much, as there was 3 repaints and, at the time, only 5 figures. Not exactly a lot of original material, but those criticisms were eventually silenced when this guy came out, their Papo limited edition Spinosaurus, reminding people what Papo was truly capable of. And it was quite a huge success. Unlike some of their other big popular models, this was actually not based off Jurassic Park at all, and was actually a speculative, more scientifically accurate take on Spinosaurus. And Papo actually kind of hit the jackpot when it came to speculative features, speculatively adding a fluke, or fin, to the tail. And this turned out to be right after the figure was officially released. So, it was a huge hit for Papo, and although some people were mad that the figure was limited edition, it's still readily available right now, so I mean, it's not that bad. But then came their 2020 reveals, and this was when things started to really go down. Everything seemed alright, there were some nice reveals like their Stiggy Moloch, but then came the Giganotosaurus, which was their first huge blunder. The Giganotosaurus was a species that had been hyped up for Papo to make for years, as they had teased making one for quite a while now. Everyone was excited, and then Papo made this, which enraged people.
Personally, I am not a fan of it. I just don't like that tripod look with the tail bent like that.
I think the pose that it is in is absolutely ridiculous. I am not a fan of it at all. I don't know why they decided to go with a tripod pose.
This is a very, very underwhelming figure.
They liked the sculpt, however, they hated the pose. The pose being an upright kangaroo pose absolutely infuriated fans, as it was an absolutely illogical decision to make, especially considering how hyped up the figure was. Out of all the times for Papo to take weird chances, they chose the worst time, and that was with this figure. Everyone hated it, and many people went out of their way to literally Photoshop the figure into an objectively better appearance. It was that bad. And speaking of that Stiggy Moloch, that figure also turned out to be a massive disappointment. The actual promotional photos we got looked quite tantalizing, but what we got was completely different. It's like night and day, to be honest. And while Papo has definitely modified their figures to make them look a little better in their promotional photos, it was never to this severe of an extent, and it just added to what was already looking to be a crummy year for Papo. And it wasn't like Papo wasn't releasing good figures, it was just that they were making really big mistakes. And then, when it couldn't look any worse, COVID hit. And while COVID isn't exactly a unique obstacle for Papo, as it affected basically every single dinosaur figure company you could name, it still affected them pretty badly, as they released no dinosaur figures for their 2021 line, only releasing a Smilodon cub and a Megalodon figure, two very forgettable figures. And everyone just thought that Papo was going down the gutter. However, some did still give him a chance, considering that, well, COVID was out of anyone's control. So, we gave them a shot, and they finally revealed a 2022 line. Their first real line of dinosaur figures since all the way back in their 2020 line with their infamous Giganotosaurus. Was it redemption time? Did that extra long COVID break give them time to rethink things and come back twice as good? The answer is no. They released a repaint, which was good, a pretty good looking Mosasaurus, and this. And this was what many people considered one of Papo's worst figures. While Papo is definitely no stranger to making bad figures, this was just a brutal reminder of what Papo has become. Some were giving it a chance, saying that there was going to be a Kronosaurus, but in the end, that turned out to just be a myth. Only 3 figures were released, and while you can still make the excuse that COVID has affected Papo, it's just clear that in recent years, Papo has gone down severely in quality. Even back before COVID, Papo was starting to slip up bit by bit. Whether it was making more repaints than actual unique sculpts, or making absolutely foolish decisions towards their biggest figures, Papo, for some reason, is just not what it used to be. They're making bold and rash decisions for no apparent reason, and have kind of lost their touch. And even if Papo maintained its original quality, it would have still had a hard time because of the fact that there is a lot more competition when it comes to dinosaur figures. Papo is at its lowest quality-wise when competition for dinosaur figures is at its very highest. When Papo reached its peak, there was only about 5 big dinosaur figure companies. It was Papo, Schleich, and Safari Limited, and a couple of others. But nowadays, there is at least 5 for a specific type of dinosaur figure. The Jurassic Park-inspired figures that got Papo so popular in the first place can be done by at least 3 or 4 other dinosaur figure companies. Rebor, Nonmu, W-Dragon, all do what Papo do, but with higher quality and higher price, which does open the door for Papo to fill in a niche here, but Papo doesn't seem to be doing that, as Papo doesn't have enough figures to take advantage of such a thing. And for more paleo-accurate stuff, which Papo dabbled in around the 2010s, PNSO releases better, more paleo-accurate, and higher quality figures for similar prices to Papo figures. Their Papo limited edition Spinosaurus, which many people consider Papo's last really great figure, is $60, which is about the same you could get for PNSO figures such as their Tyrannosaurus Rex, and you could get figures like their Carcharodontosaurus and their Tarbosaurus for less. No matter how you slice it, in today's modern dinosaur figure landscape, Papo is both outcompeted and outclassed by other companies. And that is where we are today. The once great Papo, with some of the most popular dinosaur figures of all time, now a husk of what it used to be. And that is the rise and fall of Papo. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want me to try stuff like this again, don't be afraid to give me suggestions in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and see you guys next time.